You're listening to She's the Business podcast, and in today's episode, we're going to be unpacking the superpowers and the toxic traits of high achievers in entrepreneurship so that you can learn how to leverage the strengths while also manage or avoid the toxic traits so you can find more success and more fun in business. Stay tuned, it's coming right up.
Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and over the last 25 years in marketing and business, I've helped many brands to launch, scale, and grow, with some of them becoming multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm here to inspire you to get out of your own way and create a profitable, fulfilling business while living the lifestyle you really desire, without all the hustle. So I bring you She's the Business podcast, a unique blend of strategies, tactics, mindset, health, and spirituality, literally everything you need to be the successful leader of your dream business. Made by women for women, this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration.
Who are my high achievers? Pop up your hand. No, I can't see you, but I do see you. I see you. I feel you. I thought doing this episode because as a high achiever myself, ever since I was a little girl, looking back, I can see so many times that I have almost slowed down or halted my success and stopped myself from actually achieving what I wanted to achieve because of my high achieving tendencies. That sounds like a complete oxymoron. Like these two things can't exist. If you're a high achiever, surely you always achieve highly. Well, yes and no. Things change. Once you get into entrepreneurship, once you're in business, it's not the same as the world that you grew up in, where you were conditioned by your schooling, by parents, to be a good employee in most cases. Maybe some of you had really great entrepreneurial parents, but in the most cases, we're being taught how to obey, how to achieve the grades that other people are judging us on, how to be that great performer. And a lot of high achievers turn into the A players that people love to hire. They love to hire A players in businesses because you do so much. You're amazing. You get them great results. So why then is it when we move into entrepreneurship, when we start our own business, become our own boss, that some of these high achieving traits actually become some of the things that hold us back the most? Yeah, it is a tough, hard pill to swallow. And I know, being the high achiever myself, how hard it was to actually come to terms with all the things that I have always relied on, that I've always had pride in, that I've always felt were some of my core strengths, and now almost the weaknesses. So let's get into this episode, because if this is sounding like you, if you have those thoughts of, why aren't I further along by now? Why am I looking at people who are less experienced than me, have far less skills or aptitude, and yet here they are sailing along, and having these amazing results really quickly while I'm plugging away and doing all the things that I think I should be doing, and yet the results aren't happening? Well, we're going to discover why in today's episode, because I've been through it. I've been there. I've seen it, and I've come through the other side. And looking back, wow, the signs and the signals are all there. We just need to understand how to interpret them, and then how to learn how to use our strengths and abilities to the best of our ability, and maybe some new things that we might need to adopt as well, because, that's just the way it is. This is a different space that you're playing in now. No longer do you have a boss who is managing your performance, rewarding you for your performance, giving you any sort of approval, permission, judging that performance. Nobody is doing that anymore. You're your own boss. It's you who's doing it. More than likely, you're the hardest boss you've ever had. You are the toughest judge. You have very, very high expectations, and it's extremely hard to get your approval, right? No doubt, if you're anything like me, you feel like it's never good enough. You're like, well, I've done this. I did try really hard, but the result is just not to where I would like it to be. that is almost a struggle that is ongoing, and it's learning how to manage that and actually learning how to deal with it. That definitely helps. So let's get into some of the strengths and also the toxic traits. I'm going to start off with the toxic traits because I feel like we can talk about the strengths within this. So one of the things that high achievers commonly do, and especially coming into entrepreneurship after you have been a professional in a job, in a role, probably working for someone else for any period of time, you're usually quite well educated. These are your strengths. You're very well educated, quick learner, highly, highly capable. And you've learned over time that you can rely on yourself and your capability, your ability to learn quickly, adapt, apply, and wow, you are moving at the speed of light. You can solve complex problems and puzzles. That's why employers have loved hiring you and having you as an employee, because of your ability to take something that other people are maybe finding hard, and you can unpack it, figure it out, and put in place a solution that's fast, easy, and it really works. That ability to be able to see those complex problems and really see through them and get to the core quickly is absolutely one of your superpowers as a high achiever. So it is wonderful. And that can also really help you in your business. But the shadow side of this, the toxic trait, is I know this already. And looking at something with this thought of, I already know it. I've done that before. I've learned that before. And the piece of like, I should already know this. And that sort of shame of like, I should already know this. And you're thinking it's just about the knowing and the learning because that served you so well in the past. But what this does, when you're so focused on knowing and learning and then believing like, I know that already, like you're already past that, is that you are cutting yourself off from the new insights and the new learnings. When we really think about it, think about anyone who is known to be an absolute expert, highly, highly intelligent. Even let's go back to history, look at the likes of Albert Einstein, for example. Do you think that he ever stopped being curious, ever stopped feeling like he should be learning more? I think that when you look at what you know about him, you would know that he's a lifelong student, a lifelong learner. And that's what enabled him to really reach through to those breakthrough discoveries, right? When you believe you know something and you're like, well, I've done that already. I'm not at that point. I'm moving forward. You're looking for answers in what you don't know. You're probably missing the biggest pieces of information. An example of this in more context that might be more relevant to you is I see this happen commonly with some of my clients who come into Business Jam, and they have had a business for a number of years. So they're not brand new. Maybe they've been running a business for 10 years and they've come into Business Jam and they know that they've stalled. They know that they need a strategy reset. They need to really dial it in, get better. But they have this tendency to want to gloss over some of it because they're like, oh, I've done that already. I already know this. I know how to do it. And those are the people who try to jump past the things that they actually really need. And if they just stopped for one moment and thought, you know what, I think I've done this before, but I'm going to see what new information, what new insights are here for me now. Those are the ones who get huge breakthroughs of understanding, of insight, of learning. And they have, for example, with niching. Let's take that as an example because this is one of the very common ones. Most people say to me, oh, I've done this already. And I'm like, yeah, to what level? And I've had nobody come through Business Jam who said that they've ever done it to the level they do inside Business Jam. So I have people coming in thinking I've done it already, but what they know is a very surface level definition of their niche, very surface level knowing of their niche. And it's usually one of the key reasons why they're struggling, because they're just in this surface level that's still very broad. They might be clear, other people aren't clear, or they're still trying to encompass far too much in it that's making it muddy and confusing for others who are trying to understand exactly what it is that you do and who you help. So when we've gone through the process that I have in Business Jam, where we go through the 3-layered approach, get right down to the sweet spot in the middle that I call your expert zone. So it's like a place within your niche. It's not the niche that you're in. It is like, what is your place within the niche? What is your expert zone? When they have clarified that, they're like, wow, you have asked me questions that I've never even considered before. I've never thought of it this way. I've never understood my ideal client in the way I'm seeing it now, which is like full 3D and color. Before, it was like a sketchy outline at best. These are the kind of things that people are saying. And this is the prime example of why, hey, you may have known about it niching. You might have done it before, but that's not all there is to know about it. There are layers beneath everything that you're learning that are still there to be discovered. And I would say on every topic, right? Who has ever learned everything that there is to know about any one thing? I would say nobody. And I think that the most learned people in the world would say the more they learn and know, the more they discover that there is still so much more to know, right? So here is the clue to catch yourself. Anytime you are thinking, I've done this already, I know this already, stop, because that is your ego. That is your high achieving mind, the toxic trait of the high achiever who is wanting to move forward. They're like, I've done this, been here, I'm moving forward. I want to get onto something I don't know yet. You're missing the bits that you don't know if you're doing that. If there is somebody who's guiding you and they're saying this is a really important piece of the puzzle, like I say to my clients, and I've had conversations with some who've come in and gone, oh, this is too basic for me. I'm like, yep, but is your business growing? Have you got it where you want to go? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, this is the work you need to be doing. Stop thinking that you're too good for this or you've been here and done it, when if it's not working, this is the harsh truth. And I do say it pretty straight in a nice way, but this is where you need to have your attention right now. There is absolutely no point looking at what activities you're doing. What am I posting on social media today? Or what offer should I be putting out there? That doesn't matter if you haven't bedded in what your expert zone is, who you're talking to in full 3D color detail. Like that is the bottom line there. So it's so curious because I see people battle with this all the time. And that was just one example. There are other examples. We go through, offer design. People are like, oh, yes, I know my offer. My offer's great. I'm like, is it selling? How easy is it selling? They're like, well, no, I've got a 25% conversion rate on the sales calls. And I have people who come in and then they want to leave. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's some clues here that you maybe haven't really nailed the offer, right? So look for these signs showing up for you. This thought that I know this already, I'm already beyond this, I've passed this phase, and you're trying to accelerate, you've got one foot on the brake because you've skipped over some stuff that you haven't done. Always come back to these key parts. I call them the foundational pieces of your strategy. Maybe fundamental is a better word, because it's not about starting again. It's not about starting over. It's about refining and optimizing, right? So, what you learned before got you to the level that you're at. You want to go to a new level, you're going to need to make sure that your foundation is ready for you to grow to that new level. In the same way, if we use a likeness of when you're building a house, if you're building a 1-story house, it needs far less foundations than if you're building a 2-story house. Now, if you want to build a 5-story house, well, your engineering design in the foundations you're putting down for that house going to be completely different, right? So here we have some people trying to build a 5-story house with 1-story foundations and thinking that they've done it already. Like, that's why it's not working. That's why we're not getting up to the 5 stories, because every time you go above, the 1 and into the 2, it starts to crumble and fall. So that is the first one. The next, toxic trait is just relying on the capability and relying on your drive, because that's always what's got you by before, like, great, I come in, I get my hands into this and I get it done. And that's how I achieve. And while it is an absolute strength, when you're relying just on that, what it turns into, here's the toxic trait part of it, is this belief that you don't need any help. All you need is you. You've always been good enough before to get things done. And I don't want you to start believing that you're not good enough to get things done. You absolutely are. This is a definite battle that I've been through myself, where I'm like, I have always been highly capable. Anything I want to do, put my mind to, my hands to, I have figured it out and got it done. And I took that with me into my first business. Back in 2010, I started a business as a side hustle because I already recognized that, I really wanted to get out of the corporate environment. It took me another 8 years to leave, but that's another story for another day. I started a business and, I had a lot of skills and experience already. So here I was, I already know this, I know how to do it, and I'm really capable and I'm really good at doing stuff. So I don't need any help. I can figure it out. And that's what I did. I went in on my own. I asked nobody for help. I talked to nobody. I got no advice, apart from a little bit of advice on the legal setup and accounting and things like that. But in terms of my business strategy, because I thought, I've got this. I know this stuff. And I'm capable and I'm smart and I've done these great things before. So I don't need anybody's help. Oh dear. What a big mistake that was. I look back now and think I had a golden opportunity with that business to grow it far faster than what I did, because it took me way longer to learn the lessons, to see the signs, to see the opportunities. I probably never saw into some of my biggest blind spots. I look back now and I can see some major blind spots that were there, very obvious to me now. If I could go back and coach my former self, that would be wonderful. But hey, we are where we are. I was flying solo because that had always been the way I'd done things in the past. I'm very independent. High achievers often are very capable. And that I didn't kind of sit there every day thinking I don't need help and, pushing people away per se, but I never went out and sought help. I never thought, what can I learn? Who can I ask? Who can I talk to? I had this real maverick rebel, I can do this. And maybe this was the pride and the ego that was inside me that, absolutely had a big hold on me. And maybe it was, thinking about it now, maybe that would have been a blow to my ego to think that I should speak to someone and get advice, and that I would feel less pride. So, wow, there's been a lot of unpacking, a lot of healing, getting rid of this ego mindset that really used to be in the driver's seat, shall we say. Because what I see now, what I found and discovered about a year, just thinking of the timelines, 2 years into my second business, I finally decided to get proper help. Now, when I started the second business, I did things very differently. Straight away, I got myself into groups and communities. But even though I was talking to other business owners, which was a huge step in the right direction, I was more in there thinking I can advise them. I can be of service to them. I can share my knowledge and I can chat with them. And I would notice and observe what was going on and understand a lot of things, but I didn't really seek their advice or their help at all. And to be honest, I did not seek their advice. I didn't ask the questions. I was in there participating, but far more on the how can I serve others. And looking back, it might have been partly because of the room I was in. And this is really important. I was in a room of people who, they had different life experience to me, different backgrounds. I definitely had more business experience, far more marketing experience than 95, 98% of them. And so maybe it was that, I felt like I was coming from a different place, and, I certainly had a lot to share and help other people with. However, when I put myself in a room of people who are far more my peer, like people who had been running a business, people who had successfully run a business as well. Like, I sold my first business because I got it to the point where it was able to afford a full-time business manager, and it was still profitable. And I sold it because I thought, it's not actually what I want to do. I'm not passionate about it. It was just a great business idea, but it's not for me. And I recognized that, so I sold it. My second business, so I knew it was far more the passion project, but more than that, it's my purpose. This is really what I'm meant to be doing, and what I love and what I think about all day is business strategy, positioning in the market, creating the right offers, messaging, pricing, and the marketing system. I love that. I can live and breathe it all day long. I love it nothing more than helping my clients with that. But it was this ability to put myself then in a new room. So when I invested properly, thought I'm going to get coaching support, that was a big step for me. I remember I thought about it for quite a while before I pulled the trigger and did it. And I didn't know. I was like, do I really need this or not? At first I was thinking I need their knowledge. But what I found was I actually needed the discussions. I needed to be able to have these discussions with people who were my peers and at a similar level, and obviously with a coach who had really, really great, they are someone I would be aspiring to get to their level. And what they were able to reflect back to me, what I could see in them and their questions, the value I gained from being in that room, virtual room, let's say, because it was in 2020 that I joined that group. But that was absolutely invaluable. And as soon as I did that and came into this program, really got involved, I did not sit on the sidelines just listening and watching and dabbling here and there. I went fully in. I thought, I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in getting advice. I'm going to get it. I'm going to share. I probably shared more to those people than I'd shared with anybody, even my husband. Like, these people knew more random things about me, more stories than I'd ever even told my husband before. So that shows you how much I decided to go all in on it. But the result and what came back out, because of the amount of investment, commitment that I had to it, was tenfold. My business literally exploded after that. And so that is, I think, one of the biggest lessons is, are you in the right room? Are you speaking with the right people? Because there's a huge difference between the free Facebook groups, the business groups. Yes, I'm in some, and I still see, every now and then drop in and check out what's going on in various ones. But the levels of conversations and things going on in there versus what happens, for example, inside a coaching program, where you have people who are investing at the same level as you, who are at a similar stage as you. Wow, they're like two polar opposites. Cannot get more different. And a lot of people rely on advice of random strangers. They've got no idea who these people are. Looking at them thinking, oh, ouch. That is, if you're literally taking these people's advice from these huge Facebook groups that are just full of all sorts of people, you've no idea who those people are. Is it even relevant advice for you? No, a lot of the time it's not. But anyway, that is a story for another day. So the strength here is the capability, the ability to get stuff done, rely on yourself, absolutely. But the toxic trait part of it is not allowing yourself to let anyone in, not seeking advice, seeking help. And I wish I had done that so much sooner. If I'd done that with my first business, I would have sold it for a hell of a lot more than what I sold it for. Let's just say that. There was a huge opportunity right in front of me. I never leveraged it, and it would have been really easy. So getting that sort of advice and help is so beneficial. It's actually one of the things that my Business Jam clients tell me about their experience in Business Jam. Some of them join Business Jam thinking they need information, but they find that it's the discussion that we have in the live calls where they are able to talk through some stuff and then get asked questions, then go deeper, get into the things that they had never thought of to think about, to ask themselves, and what they discover through that. Those are the golden nuggets, the value that they are absolutely gaining, and that's what creates these big leaps of growth. Now, the other one is a little bit similar. So this strength of your high level of capability and your drive to do things often means that you're very, very good at learning stuff quickly and getting things done. And that makes it, as an entrepreneur and someone who is running a business, can sometimes stop you from getting support sooner. And by support, I mean hiring somebody, I don't actually mean you have to hire an employee, but you could hire a VA or a contractor, somebody to come in and do things in your business. It makes it harder because there are all of the challenges of they're not going to do it to the same level. You've got usually high expectations and a high bar that you set for your own stuff. And so it becomes hard with hiring because you think, well, how long is it going to take before they're able to do it at this level? It's just faster if I do it. Does that sound familiar? That's definitely one of the, I think, I would call that one of the biggest growth blockers. I did an episode on this recently. I talked about the growth blockers in your business. This lack of ability to trust somebody else, thinking I'm better when I do it on my own. This is a high achiever toxic trait, absolutely, because they are often some of the ones that hold on to wearing all of the hats for as long as possible. And because of that, that can be why high achievers are seeing others with their businesses that are growing much faster. It's because they've been able to get support and help. They don't have that same level of pride or belief in their own ability. Some people on the flip side actually have very little belief in their own ability. So they're hiring left, right, and center. Now, I don't think either one is healthy. If you don't have any belief in your own ability and you're literally just I'll just hire someone to do it for me, throwing money at the problem without actually really understanding what it is that you're asking someone to do is just as bad as not hiring the person in the first place, because then you're wearing all of that, you're carrying the load, you've got all hats on, and your energy is far more limited because you only have so much time, so much capacity. Even if you're wonderful at setting up automations and using technology, there's still only enough of you to go around a certain amount. There's still only just that much of you to go around. It can only stretch so far, even with all of the technology and support that we have these days and with AI. So that is another one to look out for. Are you holding on to roles in your business, tasks, things that really could be done by someone else and free up your time? Have you been telling yourself, well, it's just faster if I do it? Or I don't want to, pay someone to do that twice as slowly as what I can do myself. Well, you know what? You're investing in actually getting your time back. They may do it slower to begin with, but one of the things that you can do, one of the skills I learned early on in my days, back when I first started managing teams, was the better I get at enabling my team. So as in not just giving them a task, but really giving them the full scope, the responsibility and the ownership of it. And I can guide them on how I would do it, but let them kind of figure out the best way for themselves. So being more of the guide, the shepherd, helping them to find their way, but you're not dictating it, that usually worked so much better. I found that most people take on the responsibility. They have far more accountability for themselves. They've got far more interest, passion, and drive in what they're doing than when they're being told specifically, do this and this is how I want it, and then they're just getting given tasks. Unless there are a type of person that likes to be given the exact task, but they are few and far between. And usually if you're hiring other entrepreneurs, people who own their own businesses, they're far more in the first category. They want to own what it is that they're doing. And that doesn't mean that if you've hired that sort of person, you're not, like passing it over and then you've never got any control over it again. No, you're setting the parameters. You tell them, hey, this is what success looks like. This is what I want to see, what I expect. Let's set and agree on some goals of, metrics that we're reaching for. You're in charge of those. And then you have a regular discussion with them about it. How are we going against that? Okay, what do you think's happening? And when you take that role with your people, you'll notice that their productivity gets up to yours really quickly. And as soon as it is, that time you invested in helping coach them and taking it on comes back to you. You now get all that time back. You've got that completely off your plate. You do a little check-in every now and then. They're good. They can run with it. They know what they're doing. They know what they're achieving. They know what the expectation is. Hire the right person, they are delivering to it. So it works really well. It just takes patience. It's not going to happen tomorrow if you're hiring them today. You're going to be like, I've got to invest a little bit of time and energy into having this person come in and take on the role and also the vision and understanding of what you're looking for, what success really looks like. So that is it. If I could go back in time, speak to younger me, I would share what I've shared with you today. I would give myself some advice on how to leverage the strengths, the capability of the high achiever, while also not allowing ego and pride to get in the way, not allowing it to be so much of the identity that you don't seek help, that you don't seek advice, that you don't seek new learnings, that you close down your mind to that part of it, because that's really what works. That's why people get where they get to faster. They have help. Like, people don't go it alone. There's that saying that is like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And I'm always like, oh, I don't know if it's even that fast to go alone. It might seem like if you want to start alone, that's probably faster. But it's not faster to try to do it all alone the whole way. So I kind of think that saying I disagree with it. It's like, well, initially, maybe to start is fast to do it alone. But very, very quickly, it becomes slower if you're on your own. You definitely need the people with you, the other people, the peers, and usually a guide, someone who's there guiding you, who's been in those shoes before you. You can decide what you're going to do. No one's ever going to make you take steps. You're still in charge, but being able to have advice, insights, perspectives that you don't currently have are what's going to get you to your next level faster, much easier, much less pain and stress than if you're going to try to go it alone, forge the path yourself, break through the bush, rip out all of the trees in your way, build the road. It's like you could actually go over there and walk on the road that's already been built. Definitely way faster, easier, nicer. But, saying that, when I say things are faster and easier, it's not like you're not going to have to do anything. Of course you are. There's always work involved, but you might as well be doing like the really important, intentional, and aligned work than all of these experiments and figuring things out off down the wrong path stuff. So anyway, they're my lessons, they're my learnings. That's what I discovered. These are the ways that I now look to manage myself in how I approach my business, how I have absolutely found ways to improve results, to increase my productivity and the output of my business as well. Simply because I've discovered what was holding me back as being a high achiever. So I hope that's been of use to you as well. Let me know, are you a high achiever? Have you found today's episode interesting, useful? Have you learned something new about yourself? I hope that you have. If you're at the point where you know you need some strategic support, as in you need to refine your strategy, you're on the plateau, you want to go to another level and what you're doing right now is not getting you there, then Business Jam, coming and working with me in Business Jam could be the piece that you need. This is, as I said before, building your foundations. But are they the foundations for the business that you're trying to grow, or have you got the foundations just for the business you have now? One-story business, very different from a 5-story business. So if you're wanting to grow to your next level, whether that's just growth in income and profit, or maybe you've got other expansion ideas, getting that foundational piece in place so that you've got something to grow from that's solid and it's going to enable you to, that is extremely important. It's not starting again. It's not creating from a blank page. It's taking what you've got and looking at, okay, is this enough, or where do we need to tweak it so that you can take advantage of the opportunity that's out there and the best opportunity for you. If you feel like already got that foundation, I'm really at the scaling point, then you might be interested in a totally different option. I'm thinking about creating a higher level mastermind group. This will be a very small group of, I'm going to say definitely under 10, maybe even just 5 people to begin with, where we'll meet monthly. This is going to be far more of a peer-based mastermind group where you've got an existing business, already successful, you've got the pieces, you know what you're doing there, but you're looking at, well, how do I really grow it? What are my growth levers and the scaling piece? And that is going to be the key focus of the mastermind. I have got an application form, which is really more of a register your interest right now, because I'm gauging interest in this. Would that be something that you would like to do? Each month, we'll jump on a Zoom call with the people in the mastermind. Everybody has their spotlight, their time of doing the masterminding. So sharing the challenge, getting the insights and feedback from the others in the group. And that's something that we do on a monthly basis, which means that you're getting that continual ability to have a whole bunch of people reflect to you what's going on, share new perspectives, show you what might be in your blind spots, and help you to pinpoint your next steps. So this is, is definitely very similar to the type of coaching I do inside Business Jam, but in this case, it's far more about the peers and the value that they each bring to the group. So I love that environment. That's the kind of thing that I like to do and get involved in, but I thought I might create one of these for my people, for my past clients, for people in my community who are at that level and really ready to expand. So if you're interested, in the show notes, there is a link there. You can put your name down on the expression of interest form, and I will get back to you when I see, is there enough interest? Have I got people who are keen on this? Then we will go forward from there. So pop your name down and you will hear from me in due course. Okay, that's it from me today. Lovely to chat. And as always, I will see you again next week with another incredible episode. So have fun, have a great weekend, and take care. Are you struggling to find quality clients these days? Well, in this world of instant gratification and abundance of AI-produced content, it may be feeling harder than ever to attract the sort of clients who really value your expertise, are ready to show up, ready to commit and invest in getting the results that they actually want. But it's not just about guessing, and it's not about just creating more content hoping that something sticks. There is some specific things that you can do and need to have in your business in order to attract those sort of clients. And I'm sharing them with you in my training, my free training called The Magnetic Formula. So go and grab yourself a seat for this free class and let me show you what are these 5 key things you need to have in your business so that you end up with a stream of committed, high quality clients who are ready to invest, who help you have a very thriving, flourishing business that earns you over 6 figures a year, and you do it all in very easy part-time hours. Head over to jessicaosborne.com/TMF or drop below into the show notes, click on the link and grab yourself a seat for this free training while it still exists. I'll see you there.